Hello, everyone. We are back. We are back. We are back. Welcome to Magnet Monday. We are so excited to be back. We took a couple of days off because I was dealing with COVID, and thank God I surpassed that. So now we're back and we're really excited. We're excited to have Ana Analytics with us today. As you guys know her from social media, and obviously my sister, the title girl, Erica Innit. We are so excited to be back. Welcome, everyone. How are you, girls?
Hi, welcome back, Dee. I missed you so much. I'm glad that you are doing fantastic and well. So thank God, you're doing 100%. You and Pablito, I'm glad that you guys are
Yes.
doing well. And excited to be back on a Monday with Anna. How are you, Anna?
I'm super good. So excited to be here too. What a great way to start the week and the month. It's going to be an awesome month, ladies. I can feel it.
Absolutely.
I feel it too.
We couldn't agree more. So we're excited to have you back and, to just pick your brain and tell us what's going on with the market and anything, because you are the person to go to when you want to know about all the data that's happening with the real estate market in Miami and, nearing areas. So tell us what's up, what's going on.
It is super exciting what's happening in our market. And as I keep saying, it's bigger than COVID and it's just begun. And that is so important to recognize, because the press, whatever, the press is the press. And they introduce concepts like going back to normal, blah, blah, blah. History never goes backwards. That never, ever, ever happens. There are a few things that never happen in history, and one of them is going backwards. Change is what happens. And we're on the very, very early stages of a big shift in our world. And that's the most important thing to recognize. That's why I say that what's happening is bigger than COVID and just begun, right? Because if we think that it's just tied to restrictions based on COVID, then people can say, oh, the flow of money can stop when things go back to normal. But that's actually not the reality. What's happening is that new habits are forming right now. That's the most important thing to recognize. Before COVID happened, COVID was like a full stop event, right? Everything pretty much shut down to varying degrees, depending where you were. And it shut down for long enough that it allowed time for new habits to form. And this is like the most important thing to recognize, because people are creatures of habits. We're sticky, right? We have sticky habits. And up until before COVID, all of our models of how we worked, how we went to the office, our office buildings, our city densities, they were all established before the internet, if you think about it, because the internet came at the very end of the 20th century. And we incorporated it slowly. It wasn't like the amazing super fast thing we have now. It came in stages. And so it was incorporated into existing habits. We didn't say all of a sudden, let's redo our work-life model and create hybrid plans around the internet. Nobody did that because we already had habits, right? But then COVID came, we stopped the habits, and now we're doing that. And it's not 100%, it's never 100%, but even a 10% change across the population is huge. And places like Florida are now the recipients of this habit change of a significant percentage of people who have intellectual capital or money capital, both, and who've realized that their work model is shifting and they can work from where they want to live. And they want to live here for a whole bunch of reasons. So the flow of people and money and capital, both intellectual and the money kind, has just begun.
Wow. Exactly. I hear you. And it's so true what you say, that we don't go back. I mean, every time we take a step forward, we just keep going forward. So we use the resources that we already have to just keep evolving. And like you said, now with COVID and everything that has happened, obviously it has pushed us into a new digital era, I would say, because now everything it's more online, like people are more aware of that. And because of that, like you said, we're changing our habits and changing the way that we do business, that we do things, and that we see, we buy, we communicate and all of that. So I'm glad that you can put out that information out there, because it is true. We never go back, even as human beings. Like once we get used to a certain, maybe, a comfort in life or a certain type of way of living, we don't go back. No. It's rare, very rare for people to go back. Like we're always pushing forward.
Yeah, this is history. And change happens very quickly. And people seem to think that now, like how they see things now is how things have always been, but they're not. Things change super quickly. Look, I'm in Miami Beach. I can see the skyline, the Miami skyline. It didn't exist 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Change happens
Exactly.
super quickly, and COVID has pushed us into like the post-internet world. And South Florida, for many reasons, is one of the recipients of this flow of capital, intellectual and money capital. And it's
Yes.
So talk to us about that. I was at Surfside about a week ago.
Mhm.
And with everything that's happening, it was extremely devastated. And now I have one of my friends who her building passed inspection, but her parking lot didn't pass inspection. So she can park there. She's literally taking Uber to get home. So, Anna, I know you know a lot about the condo market, what's going on here in South Florida. Tell us what's happening because I know that things are going to change. I see it very quickly. I know you don't have a TV, you don't own a TV. You're always trying to,
I
learn
have
what's
3
happening.
now. For the first time in my life, I have TVs. I don't turn them
Oh
on.
wow,
What an alien to
wow.
me.
But you're always in the go. You know what's happening. Tell us what's happening in the condo market because a lot of people are in the unknown. They don't know what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of, I was contacted by a lot of reporters around this topic, the BBC, the New York Times, everybody. And the main, first of all, like, my God, buildings should never fall. I can't even believe that happened. It's like a movie. Like, how does that even happen?
Yes.
Yes.
Tragic.
What? So like,
Sad.
given that it happened, um, it's important to recognize that the condo market is not a monolith. So the condo market, much like the rest of our market, is the biggest percentage spikes in transaction volume are at the charts for simplicity are at 1 million plus, but really it starts at like 750 a million plus for the condo market. Because our spike in transactions is happening from people relocating, from domestic buyers relocating. Actually, we're not even getting the Latin market now, which usually drives our market. They're going to come on top of this, right? So the people who are moving with capital are not looking by and large at older buildings. It's very important to recognize that we have 2 markets in the condo market. This is something I've been saying for years, that they behave very, very differently. And I presented to the city of Miami Beach actually back in 2018 on the underperformance of the historic districts. I actually isolated out for the historic districts and tracked their median pricing over time. And even without adjusting for inflation, they never even came close to the previous highs because for so many reasons. Structural obsolescence is a real thing. And people don't talk about it in residential real estate. Buildings get old, they get obsolete. Now they should not fall. That's a whole separate point. That's like corruption, negligence,
Right.
but they do get obsolete, even if they're not dangerous. And what I mean by obsolete is they were built around a different time. They have smaller windows, lower closets, no parking, no amenities. They cost more and more to upkeep because of flood insurance. They're built to different standards, blah, 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 all these things, right? And so these are a factor when you buy an older building, and it renders them unattractive, especially when we have all this cool new inventory being built in Miami where they have awesome zoning because you can't build stuff in Surfside or Miami Beach. So all this stuff being built in Miami, targeted towards the future, towards appealing to people who are moving to live and work in our area. And for the same price or even less, you could live in something super cool right across the water where the city's booming, or you're going to be in a falling apart structure. Like what? So this is the issue. We have what's called a bifurcated market. Old stuff performs differently than new stuff. And you better believe that someone relocating from New York City, chances are they're not looking at a very old building with small windows and no amenities. They never were, and they never were. And so this tragedy, I believe, is going to further widen the performance gap between older and newer condos.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
so true. And I'm glad that you mentioned that people are coming in and migrating into Florida because there's a lot of people. We feel as Floridians, we're like, have you seen the memes? Like, stop, we're full, like, please don't move. So tell us about that and how that affects the market. Like, what's the data around that? Because I know I've heard you talk about this before, but I want our audience to know a little bit more about it.
Sure. So if we just look at flow of money into the region, I think that's really important to look at because the money will filter out, but just the general quantity of money flowing in the region. The first half of this year saw 100% double increase over the first half of 2019, which was the first pre-COVID year. An extra $40 billion were spent in South Florida real estate. The spike is like this. Like the data is so incredible, it looks fake. And when you look at the million plus condo market, the same thing happened. It went like this, and at the same time, supplies like this.
Wow.
And a single family even more. It's just it's incredible. And like I said, it's just begun because these habits are not going away. And it's like, and the city is now ready for it. If this had happened 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been as ready, but the city has built up,
Right.
has built up
Exactly.
enough. And then anecdotally, listen, like I was saying, I moved recently and I forgot that I had to move because whatever, I was busy. and I went to log in and there was nothing. And I was like speaking on some panel on like distressed hotel assets in the pandemic. And I was like, what about distressed Ana assets? I got nowhere to live. Like, and then I was saying this apartment was sent to me like 2 weeks before I had to move. And it felt like, I grew up in New York City and I knew what it was like to get an apartment in New York. Right? That you saw it, you had to get it right away. You couldn't
Right. Yes.
You had to get it right away. And so I literally did that. I was like, I'm taking it now. Like I'm paying the year up front. I did that because I'm crazy because I didn't want to even chance it. I knew that it was the only corner, whatever it was. And then I'm like, wow, I've been here before. This is like New York. And to continue this anecdote, down the hall, friends of mine, I sold it to them back when I did more resi years ago, same unit, corner down the hall for me. And the guy calls me up and they had a long-term tenant from France. And he was like, hey, Ana, like, can you list it for me? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna list it for your friend. I'll send it to somebody. And he was like, oh, he's my friend. He's like, don't you live on the floor? And I'm like, oh no, I do. So I said, you know what? I said, let me do an experiment here. Like, I want to see what's happening in the market, like really see, right? So I'm like, what I am gonna do it. I'm like, chill this week. It's August. It's literally down the hall. So I'm like, okay. So I put it up for $1,000 more than his previous tenant was paying.
Right.
I put it at 43. And okay, like 3 days later, I have full price offers paying upfront, showing me multi-million dollars in the bank relocating from New York.
Wow.
Wow.
For a $4,300 a month rental, a guy sent me a $2.5 million bank balance and he's paying upfront.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And he's relocating from New York because his company's letting him work remotely. And I was like, whoa, this is my whole thesis here at play. Like, I'm glad I did this experiment. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that before, when people ask you about if there's gonna be like a drop in the market, like is it gonna be like what happened before with the recession? And it's not, and I know that affects it a lot because we have a lot of people coming in.
Yeah, so it's important to recognize that whenever you see rapid drops like that, it's usually because of a deleveraging, a crash in debt. And the previous market was driven by liar loans and debt and all of that.
Right.
This is not nationwide. It's not, and especially in our market, we have a heavily cash market actually, and people have equity in properties. So I don't see it. We're not buoyed up by debt like we were last time.
Exactly.
And like I said, I think that this relocation phenomena of people dispersing away from, I like to call them like pre-internet epicenters, pre-internet habits, that's just begun. Like this guy's not going back. The guy moving here, he's going to rent for 2 years. He's like, oh yeah, I'm relocating. And then his buddies are going to come down and more people are going to realize that they don't have to work, and it's just it's begun.
The quality of life is totally different.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, literally, I redid my kitchen and I was waiting for something.
And it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Stunning.
I'll post pictures later. So, I ordered something in Amazon and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get that tomorrow. And absolutely right. Next day, 7 p.m., I got my delivery. So it's like we're so used to having everything over already in the internet. Yep. So now talking about the South Florida market, Ana, I know we're booming. Everybody, I just came back from listening to Grant Cardone, and there's so many investors, so many that are ready to buy any piece of property in Florida. Okay, because taxes here are phenomenal, and we have everything is great in Florida. Actually, the weather, everything is fantastic. People are always asking me, oh, what's going to happen? Are the prices are going to go down? I'm not ready. Obviously, the inventory is low. Yeah. But I keep telling everyone that this market, it's insane. Like if you're not selling or if there's no properties, start knocking on doors, see who wants to sell because the market is booming. Anything else that you can tell your audience, obviously that is not me, that I wanted to hear from you, Ana, about what's happening in the South Florida market, how we are not going to feel, the distressed properties. If we have a little bit of foreclosures or short sales, how we're not going to feel that at all. Absolutely.
I think so. I don't think so. I agree 1,000%. It's just this flow of money and capital has just begun because it's bigger than COVID. It's a major, major shift in our world. And we're one of the places that's benefiting from it. And it's so important to recognize that we're benefiting from a change in habits.
Yeah.
And we're so well positioned to receive that because of quality of life. And on top of that, our tax situation and all of our
Yeah.
feeder jurisdictions are going to be, they're in a negative momentum cycle. We're in a positive one, they're in a negative one. And they're going to keep being hostile towards capital, which is what they do. They have problems funding their municipalities, their whatever, their union pensions, whatever. They're going to keep threatening higher taxes. They're going to keep driving people out. So all of that has just begun. So in order for us to have a crisis here, we would have to have a stop or a decrease in the flow of people coming. Because that's it's supply and demand, and the demand is the people coming in, and I don't see that happening. And it's also important to recognize that the Latin American market didn't go away because they don't like us anymore. They went away because they come, and so they're gonna come back for all the same reasons that they did before, because they need to put money out of their countries. They have unstable countries, and so they're gonna come back. Most of this demand that we're seeing now is driven by new domestic action. It's not even Latin American action. That's always going to be there too. So no, I think I'm very optimistic. Look, this is like a big shift in the world. It's going to be 5 to 10 year shift. The news, whenever I see it, I'm always whenever I see the news, I'm like, wow, this is terrifying. If I watch the news, I would be scared all day. So please, it's terrible. It just spreads panic and negativity. So just turn it off and accept change as good. Change is good.
Change is great.
Yes.
Change is great. And I'm so happy because you and I are kind of the same age. We're still a millennial forever, die hard piece. And I'm so happy because Dee and I, we've been talking about this consistently. We actually set it as Magnet Monday in the pandemic. And we kept positive, we kept going, we kept, hustling. And I see it. She's in Orlando. I'm in Miami. And Orlando's booming.
Yes.
Booming so it's not only Miami. I think it's going to be Florida completely. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are in Florida. Think that this is a positive outcome. People are coming here. We live in the Sunshine State, and it's positive opportunity wherever you go. So I'm excited about what's coming, to be honest. I'm very excited.
Yes, I am too. And I think that I agree with what you're saying 1,000,000%. All of Florida is benefiting. Then it's just a question of lifestyle, what you prefer. But I agree 1,000,000%. And then also down here, I think that Mayor Suarez is doing such a great job.
He is.
Like, he's killing it. He's doing exactly what you want. He's getting out there and he's putting forth a vision of the future that people can believe in and get excited about. And that's the most important thing to do right now. Instead of fear, he's putting a path forward towards the future with tech, with everything else. And all that is great. Like, having smart people move here is such a good thing. And it's happening.
And I think that affects a lot the decision of people moving into Florida, also not only the fact that we live in the Sunshine State and the quality of life and all of that, but our local government. It's like totally different from where people are migrating from. And, it does show and adds to the quality of life because you have that going on here, the good job that it's being done locally. So I am so excited about the future. And I know that a lot of people are going to be able to benefit from this, from everything that's happening, because like you said, we don't go back, we only move forward, and we're going to grow from here.
Oh, 1,000%. I really think it's just begun. And I think that also in this period of change, we're going to see real divergence in how different parts of the country behave. In terms of their economies and everything else. I think the country, so like we've had these trends in place, which are not so rosy, like widening wealth gaps, widening social belief systems that are irreconcilable at this point, all sorts of things. And that's not going away either. That was accelerated by COVID. And so I think that's adding to we're in the good receiving end, right? But we're going to continue to see big differences in quality of life across the country. And while that overall, some places are not going to benefit, we are. We're positioned to benefit from we're positioned to benefit from the instability that's going to be nationwide in the next years.
Wow. Yeah.
And as you guys know, I work with social media, and I've seen a big change in the digital world, digital marketing and all of that. We have pushed it like nowhere else back in time. Like, this is different. This is totally different. During the pandemic, like, my business grew, exponentially. So I feel like everything is changing towards a better, just digital, faster, easier, communication, everything. It's like Erica said, she orders something, and sometimes, let me tell you, sometimes you can get it the same day.
Yeah.
And things like that are so beneficial for us, and increases the quality of life and all of that. And I am happy that you're talking about this, because realtors everywhere, people in the real estate business, can definitely take advantage of digital marketing, social media, going online, making sure that you read the data, because the data is your best friend. If you know your target audience, if you know your data, if you know what to put out there, you're going to win. You're going to win, because like you're saying, this is a time that we can benefit the most from what's going on.
1,000%. And also in an environment where media is spreading fear and so forth, if you're seen as a guiding light, people will flock to you.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm always sharing your stuff, Anna. I mean, every time
Yes.
there's an article, you post about an article, statistics, I'm always sharing your stuff. Realtors, lenders, if you're listening, share good information. You know, you're doing the benefit of other people. You know, I'm always sharing good content. It's not about me. If
Yes.
Dee's posting something good about social media that is teaching you how to do a post in less than a minute, I'm sharing her stuff. I think that if we all work together. We all
Exactly.
work together.
Exactly.
We all work together. You look beautiful as always, Anna. I love it. Makeup, nails, boom. You know, and this is the time, guys. You know, everything is going in social media, but there's one thing that a lot of you agents, realtors out there are asking me, if I can do online notary. I can do online notary, but if your buyers or borrowers are financing, I cannot do online notary. A lot of the lenders are not there yet. We are going to be heading that way, but they're still not there yet. That's the only thing that right now we cannot do 100%. So just, you know, always have that thought, that if you're the buyer, okay, and they are financing, we can do remote online notary if the lender is not accepting it. And most of them are not. So I just wanted to make that clear, for those of you who are listening, since we're talking about.
We will at some point, but it's not there yet.
We will. I'm sure we will. Anna, thank you so much. Anything else that you want to share with us, about the market, about what's happening, what's coming?
You know, like I said, it's just begun. I'm putting out a big supply and demand report this week that I'll send off to you.
Awesome.
It has all those charts and data. And markets are simple, guys. Just think supply and demand. That's it. Everything is always, things are driven by fundamentals, and supply and demand is what drives any market and drives our market. And our supply is measured by buyers and people moving to the region, and it's like this. And you know, our demand, I'm sorry, and our supply is like this. So
Exactly.
we have supply like this, demand like this, is what you want. We have habit changes. They're going to keep pushing people here, which is what you want.
Yes.
And it's just, we're all very lucky to be in South Florida. So keep your mind clear of the noise. Change is very good. Stay positive. See it here first. It's all here first. See what you want.
Exactly.
And then chart your path through all that.
So true. Anna, thank you so much for joining us once again. We love to have you here, because we love talking about the data and the actual facts of how we're benefiting and how this business is booming. Thank you so much, Erica, for, you know, holding the fort down for me for the last 2 weeks, because COVID is not a joke, guys. But we are very excited to be back. Follow us on Magnet Monday. All of Anna's information is there as well. If you guys want to follow her, contact her, learn more about data and all the stuff that she can help you with, go ahead and do that. And thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate the support. And until next time, it has been a beautiful Monday. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We love you guys.
Bye, Anna.
Bye-bye. Have a great August.
Make it count.
You too.
Bye.